Well, hello everyone. We are Facebook Live today here on Friday. We are here to bring you some more information about the Sacred Sexual Music Festival. Path 11 Productions is bringing this festival virtually to the world this year. It's usually held out in Canada, but due to the pandemic and COVID, we are making it virtual. So I am joined with a bunch of lovely women today that I wanted to introduce you to. We have the founder, Wendy Cobina DeMos is here with me this morning and today. And we also have two other guests that we're bringing on. They are presenters at the Sacred Sexual Music Festival. We have Lisa Archibald, and we also have Sonia Brach, also known as Sonia B. So we're going to shorten her last name, call her Sonia B. I like the way that rhymes there. So we have the four of us here today, and we're going to talk a little bit about what the Sacred Sexual Music Festival is all about, what they're going to be presenting, and it's going to be really a fun Facebook Live today. We do have our chat here, so we welcome any questions, appropriate questions and comments. We will definitely get to answer some of those questions after we get through introducing everyone and what we're doing here today. So, Wendy, the founder of the Sacred Sexual Music Festival, this festival is happening April 16th through the 18th. Tickets are on sale now. You can go to the Sacred Sexual Music Festival website, sacredsexualmusicfestival.com. You can purchase your tickets. This is a 3-day virtual event. It's loaded and packed with amazing speakers. I've had a chance to be able to interview people on the Path 11 podcast, and I am learning so much. So I thank you, Wendy, for opening my world to all of these wonderful teachers and presenters. So we have Lisa Archibald, who is an Amora therapist. So we're going to learn about what that is. And we have Sonia B., who is a sexual wellness educator as well. So we're going to talk about some of these topics to get you all really excited to attend this festival. So Wendy, how did you find the two presenters that we're going to be speaking to today? I've been asking everyone, how did you connect with Wendy? How did you come to be a presenter at this festival? So I'd like to hear the backstory of how you met both Lisa and Sonia and invited them to your festival.
Oh my gosh. Well, Lisa and I know Lisa from the community. I'm in this conscious living, it's called Conscious Living Community, and Lisa's a part of that. And when I first mentioned this festival, she was like, "Oh my gosh, that is so needed." And she told me the areas that what she offered as her work. And I said, "Oh, would you talk about that?" And little did I know she was super dynamic. She just, and so many facts. She knows her history, sexual evolution, how it changed, why it shifted, how important aspects, different parts of your body are, how you can press on different meridian points and really make a shift in your health. So she just blew me away. She spoke at the last Sacred Sexual Music Festival pre-COVID when we could do it in person. And when she wasn't up in the balcony, because we had rented a venue that had a balcony, which was a school. We called it the Sacred Spot School. And she was educating up there and then buzzed downstairs in front of the camera and presented her talk, and just incredible. She was so incredible. So that's how I met Lisa. And Sonia B. Well, how did I meet Sonia? Because you're in the community too. And I knew that your specialty, you have a specialty, you are a sexual educator, a wellness educator, and a part of that is playing with power. You've got an aspect of your offering that's like fascinating to me and others. And then when you had a live demo person on at the last festival and demonstrated ways to play with power, and she had, oh my gosh, she had like spanking things and everything. It was just in the spirit of play. It was totally consensual, and it just opened everybody's eyes to a way to play.
Awesome. Well, I would love to hear a little bit more from Sonia B and Lisa. So let's start with Lisa since we started with you. And I heard when we were offline that you're in Mexico. So, as you can see, she looks like just a ray of sunshine here. Lucky you. So, yeah, Lisa, what is an Amora therapist? And I've never heard of that term before. So I would love to hear what we're getting into with you and what's going on and what do you do?
Uh, Thank you, April, and thank you, Wendy. That introduction was so generous, and I don't know. I'm just getting goosebumps just thinking about like being introduced. So my evolution into sacred touch and connecting people with their own inner divinity has been, a long journey. Basically, as an anthropologist, back in the day when I was in school, I was always traveling and looking at different ways of life, different cultures, and always very like, attracted to the people that were embodied and, really connected to their mind, body, soul. And I was always a dancer and acrobat and athlete, and so I was always, attracted to those realms. I got into yoga, massage, Thai massage, lomi lomi, ones that were really quite dynamic and active. And then I got into adventure tourism. So I was always sort of like, pushing myself and other people past their comfort zones and reaching inside to their hidden little pockets of potential, And so in taking that, when I sort of settled down into Vancouver, I found that I still wanted to guide people, but now I was guiding them within. And as I was doing so, I was uncovering, ancient texts from the Tao and from Tantra and all over the world. And I was so fascinated with all this hidden wisdom of, my talk is about sacred spots, and some of them are on the male anatomy, and some are on the female anatomy, and some are both. And I don't want to give it all away, but I've been connecting people with their own inner divinity in a very playful, childlike, awe, wonder sort of way. Like I advertise, I see myself as like Indiana Jones's cuter little sister, who like takes you on these like journey, like your body is this temple, and through a guided visualization, some warm-up stretching, I get people to kind of go within as if they're exploring their head like a room in this temple, and looking at the hieroglyphics and all the treasures. And then we just sort of slowly go through the whole body, through the sense organs, right down into the bone marrow, into the nerve endings, and get them so relaxed and open that the whole container, like this whole beautiful temple, is just like pulsing with vibration and frequency and life. And then incorporating more touch and just opening up pockets of pleasure too, that are dormant. And I don't know, I just love sort of like helping myself and others activate ourselves. And I feel in today's world, more attention brought to the softer, the yin part of ourselves, the receptive is needed. So that's what I want to talk about.
Wonderful. And when you're presenting, are you going to be bringing people at this conference through this guided meditation to allow them to get more in touch with themselves? I know we're not giving away the farm here or doing anything like that today, but will you be demonstrating something like that for the participants?
Yeah, that was my plan. Just a short one, to get us all embodied, and then just sort of take everyone on a journey inside. And so the Amora therapy was like Amora just coming from love. So it was like facilitating a renewed reconnection with your just loving yourself from the cellular level.
Beautiful. Great. Thanks, Lisa. All right, let's move over to Sonia B. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're going to be bringing to the festival this year.
Well, I'm also very pleased and happy and honored to be part of this festival again. I went I don't know if it was the first or second year, but it was a location in Vancouver near Commercial Drive, and that was the first time I had attended the festival as a spectator or an attendee. And I really felt like it was something that I wanted to be part of, and I felt that I could contribute as well. And then the year after, I believe it was me, Wendy, that contacted you. Like I said, I had such an amazing experience at the one I went to as an attendee that I just felt like I really wanted to be part of it as a presenter. And so I believe I reached out to you. And after connecting with Wendy and some other people with the community, I don't know, it just really felt like it was my jam, and I'm really glad and happy to be back this year. It'll be fun and exciting to do it online rather than in person. And I think we'll be reaching out to a lot more people that are not necessarily local, but broadening our horizons in terms of who and where the accessibility will be. So that's very exciting for me. And yeah, so I will be presenting this year on power dynamics. Last year's workshop that I did was on the art of spanking. And as Wendy was saying, it really is a topic that I, of course, am very passionate about. And it provides an alternative to people that maybe are looking to spice up their bedroom experience. And I originally got introduced to this sort of play at a fairly young age. I was a college kid back in Montreal, and friends and I were going out to a club. I believe it was like a Thursday night, and we went into a club, and they were having a BDSM sort of night. And so we walk in, and there's someone up on stage, and they're getting spanked, and my eyes just lit up. I must have been, 19 at the time, and I was just knew that it was very exciting and I wanted to explore it further. And so I got the opportunity, throughout my life at various times to do so. And it's just been very exciting and really opening my horizons. And throughout my journey, I've realized that it can also be very therapeutic. To explore this realm of sexuality. And for a lot of people that have perhaps gone through trauma, it can be therapeutic. I don't delve into any sort of counseling or therapy when it comes to the trauma aspect, but just from my observations with working with others and some of my clients, they've found that in exploring power dynamics and the BDSM community, they've actually found therapy through that. And I will speak from my own personal experience. I would say that that's somewhat true as well. So this year, yeah, that's what I'll be presenting, delving a little bit more into power dynamics and the relationship between control and power, and how people or one within themselves can safely construct that. Obviously, always with consent if you're playing with others, but also within oneself. I think it's important to discuss that too. That there is as a comfort level that one has to sort of tap into when we're discussing this type of subject. So yeah, very excited again to be part of this.
Great. And Sonia, I would love to hear a little bit more about your experience as being an attendee, because I'll say, I had never heard of this festival before, and Wendy has been doing it for a while now. And, the fact that we are bringing it to the virtual platform really opens it up for anybody to attend, not just the people in Vancouver. But it's kind of a hard festival to, explain and describe. It's not like these are like a bunch of people running around like having sex at this festival because it's called the Sacred Sexual Music Festival and people are naked and things of that sort. I mean, every presenter that I have spoken to, there's so much about empowerment and healing for self, and really connecting people with their spirituality, their comfortability with to be within their body, as we're souls kind of inhabiting this physical body. There's so much empowerment with every person that I have talked to that's presenting so far. But how do you explain to people what to expect? And since you were an attendee, what did it feel like? What was the community? What did you learn as your first year? So if people are kind of wondering, should I buy a ticket to this event? They get an idea of how they're going to walk away different after being immersed in this festival for 3 days.
Yeah, well, as an attendee, yeah, you kind of walk in and you're not really quite sure what to expect. I mean, at the time, I had been doing the wellness work, so I was comfortable with the subject. But yeah, you kind of walk in there and you don't really know what to expect. Um, I think it's just a great group, an amazing group of people. I know some of the presenters, and as you've mentioned, they're really down to earth, and there is a certain cosmic spiritual energy that's cultivated as well, which is for me very, I gravitate towards that. One thing I really appreciated as an attendee, and that was a couple of years ago. Also, hats off to Wendy from that festival a couple of years ago to now. It's such a huge success in such a short period of time. Wendy, I totally just give you props for that, and again, I'm so honored to be part of it. But yeah, it went from in a some kind of like a little community center type of building to she's got one in Winnipeg now, and with the online, once again, we're reaching a lot more people. So yeah, it's really, she's done an amazing job, and just adding more and more amazing, spectacular people to the repertoire. So yeah, one of the things I really noticed was there's something for everyone. You will walk away just enriched with knowledge, but also a deeper connection with who you are as a person, with your body, with your sensuality, with your spirituality. You really walk away with that. And there might be some topics that you never thought of ever exploring, and you sit through a workshop and you're just like, wow, where has this been my whole life? You know what I mean? And then there's other presenters that are presenting on topics that you've wanted to learn more about. Maybe you've had a little bit of experience with it, but there's something for everyone. There's something. And like I think like adding something like power dynamics and role playing adds a kind of different perspective as well, where one might not even think that it's a spiritual topic, but it really kind of is when you think about it. So yeah, there's just something for everybody, and I think it's just a wealth of knowledge. So I encourage everyone out there to check it out for sure.
Great, thank you. So I'd like to ask all of you, and get your opinion on why do you think it's so hard for our culture and people to feel comfortable talking about sex, wanting to talk about it? What's your opinion about why it's hard to really just talk about this openly, and maybe some thoughts around shame around this issue? At Path 11 Productions here, this year we've chosen to run two conferences, both topics that nobody ever wants to talk about: death and sex. Okay. So, how's that for a marketing challenge? Right? Trying to get this great information with topics that people are either really afraid to talk about, to want to talk about, to admit. There's so many belief systems wrapped up into death and sex. But it really feels like you guys are the pioneers in really leading the way for this conversation to be open and embraced, and to really eliminate the fear around talking about this. So, Wendy, I'll start with you. What has your experience been, and why do you feel like it's so hard, like that our culture is just kind of so oppressed when talking about sex and the shame around it?
Yes, I think there has been so much suffering around our sexuality. whether it's abuse, shame, guilt. And especially in the Me Too movement and the Harvey Weinstein era, I just really got a sense that now's the time. There's a void. Now's the time to fill that void with beauty and respect and the sacredness of our bodies. Bring all that back, because that in turn will shift everything else in our life. When we start to bringing more sacred look and a respectful look, and then we become more at peace with the power and the innocence of sex. And I felt that was a door just opened in my mind, in my heart. And I really wanted to help people to experience and express the pleasure and power of being alive respectfully, consciously, and embody be in their bodies and all of that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Wendy. Lisa, how about you? What have you found kind of in your work with the clients that you're working with? What are some of those obstacles of fear and shame that you've seen around the topic of sexuality?
I think it's been repressed in our culture on purpose for control. So our education has not been, the sex education that we get as kids is lacking, especially when I dig up books like Sexual Secrets, and I'm just blown away by what we used to know, but it was all buried. And I think it was so we wouldn't ascend, and that the division between the male and female was easily kept separate. So like Wendy was saying, it's like we've gotten so far apart, it's like the pendulum swinging back to like, okay, let's like come back again and feed our inner, latent masculine or feminine. But back to your question, I feel that we've been kept in the dark over it, and it's a mystery. We've been shamed to think about it. I never saw, naked people when I was a kid. Like sex was never, having your period, and like nothing to do with the female body was ever explained to me. I had to figure it out, and I'm sure a lot of girls in my age group were the same. But there's this renaissance of this desire to, just take responsibility for our lives again. We realize that we need to be the ones to, we're waiting for. So the sexuality part is so key in the unification of our soul, and then we can kind of unite as a planet. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. Sonia B., how about you? How have you seen with the people that you've educated, the people that you've worked with, how have you seen them kind of maybe work through any shame that they have, or, their belief systems around sex?
I've worked with a lot of women who have, had health issues or depression or what have you, or just, sex gets put on the back burner sometimes, unfortunately. And one of the things that I really wanted to contribute on my lifetime on Earth was to not make one's sensuality an afterthought. I was just talking to a friend about this yesterday. Just as much as I believe, we need to be balanced with our mind, our body, and our soul, and, take care of our physical health as we do our emotional, mental health. I believe that it's very important to be balanced with your sexual health as well. And there's a lot of just as it has been said, as Lisa was saying, there's not enough knowledge out there. And I've also worked with some men who, their experience with sex is through pornography. And a lot of young men, this is amazing that this is happening nowadays, but a lot of younger men in their 20s are looking to change that structure and change that foundation, and become more connected to their bodies. And it's wonderful to see. So I've had some clients that are men in that age group around their 20s, and their introduction to sex and their idea of what that looks like is often what is seen on media, what is seen seen through pornography, and it's not real and it's not really the accurate picture of what that experience is like. And so I think that as a society and as a community, again, doing festivals like this, where even though yes, sexual is in the word, there is, if you look at the schedule and you look at the lineup, I mean, there's so many topics that are being discussed that maybe kind of are related indirectly to sexuality, but really it's so much more than just that practice of sex. And yeah, there's people doing how to move your body, and therapy, so there it really goes beyond just sex, as I was saying, and really kind of is more about, to me, just like wellness in general, and adopting a positive, healthy lifestyle. So yeah, I guess that kind of answers your question, and that's sort of, yeah, been kind of my life's purpose, I guess you could say. Took me a while to figure it out, but one of my life's purpose is that, to help um, first it was women, but now I work with men and couples as well, to really just help them get in touch with their bodies and their sensuality and bring it to the forefront a little bit, instead of putting it on the back burner. And it's an afterthought that you kind of just do on a Saturday night. Let's bring it into like the morning, and 24/7.
Yeah, absolutely. You brought up so many amazing points there too. And I think that some people's introduction to their sexuality so easily accessible can be porn. And porn, I'm sure, serves a purpose for in some aspects, but when you really sit down and talk to the people who are presenting and what this festival is all about, so much more than that. And really all the conversations that I've had so far on the podcast, we are able to actually find the spiritual connection. I mean, I've been having talks with some of your presenters, Wendy, about tantric sex and tantric yoga, the chakra system, massage therapists who are talking about the importance of certain psoas muscles, the pelvic area, the belly that can be opened up and massaged to unlock a lot of our stored emotions and trauma, and bring sexuality, back to ourselves, back to our body, back to our energy system. So, Sonia B., you are right on when you say there's so much more happening at this festival. And Wendy, maybe this might be a nice time for you just to go over the schedule a little bit again, so people have an idea of what's going on. And you're also calling it the Sacred Sexual Music Festival. You're a musician, so there's also an element of music here that is also coming into the festival. So it's not just all straight presentations, but there's movement, there's yoga, there's music. So why don't we just take a quick moment here and just go over the festival schedule really quick.
Okay, I'd love to. And first of all, I do want to mention why the music is part of it.
Yes.
Because music is so healing. Music opens the heart. Music allows you, it creates a new space for you to look at things differently. And so healing, and that's what I love to do, is offer healing music, and to correspond that with healing sexuality and shifting and filling that void. Just made sense to me. And the whole aim is to create a safe, joy-filled space for everyone virtually being where you're at. Have your group of friends sitting in your living room as you're watching the weekend process, and make it a party, and everybody can learn and watch. And we all learn about consciousness. We learn about love. We learn about relationships, sexuality, and it's all within a framework of uplifting music. And so here's a little bit about what's happening with the schedule. Is you mentioned the psoas, we're opening right up, is something super basic that people don't even know what's a psoas. I guess it's Dr. Hope told me it's not actually a muscle, even though we've often called it psoas a muscle. It's actually just a tissue. And it's so important to address, because once your psoas is you bring consciousness to where it is, where it might have blocks, how to open it. It opens up all kinds of things in your life, particularly your sexuality and your sensuality. And again, and then this is Friday night, and also there's a demonstration around taking pleasure, and this is all about the wheel of consent. Whether are you taking pleasure, are you giving pleasure, are you receiving pleasure, and the subtle dynamics between when you consent in playing, and it's really subtle, and it's so much depth to it that you have no idea. So I'm excited to hear what Corinne's going to talk about taking pleasure. And the next one, when sexual energy arises in therapy. Now this is super controversial, and it needs to be addressed. And Guyan, he's a massage therapist. He's in Taiwan, and he's just written a book about the importance of addressing sexual energy with utmost integrity. Because when you are in either getting massaged or you're in some kind of body work and that arises, typically what happens, he says, is, don't address that. Let's pretend that nothing happened there. And so he's just bringing this whole new embodied, integral, steeped in sacredness attitude. And that's kind of basically all you mentioned that earlier, April, each of the speakers I personally know are steeped in a sacred attitude towards life, towards their bodies. And that's the whole intent, is to create such a love-filled event, a love-filled, joy-filled, super information that you never even thought about. That's the intent for each of the speakers. And so it's just and then Chenoa, she also does that. She does massage as well. And she's like a coach. And I've not experienced a session with her. However, I've heard rave reviews. She's done this work all her life. And her topic is the sacred sex worker, healing the world. So that's going to be fabulous. I'm so excited to hear that. And then we start out Saturday morning, get ready, get your sweats on, and we're going to do an hour-long yoga class, and it's Kundalini yoga, which has specific exercises that are meant to bring the energy from the root chakra up to the heart, up through the throat, and up the crown chakra. So there are some, that's why it's called the Kundalini yoga, and it's super powerful. And she will specifically go into kriyas, which are exercises that address raising sexual energy. Because once the sexual energy is going in the heart, once it hits the heart, once it comes up through the throat, it's transformed. It's transformed into beauty and love. All the things that Harvey Weinstein wasn't aware of. So let's shift the paradigm and just see how you feel. Just try the yoga class, and I guarantee you'll feel something. As a Kundalini yoga teacher, I'm all over it. And there's so many. I could go through each one. Reflexology. We all know about reflexology on the feet. Did you know that there is reflexology that also pertains to our sex organs? A woman's vulva, a man's penis and scrotum. I mean, they all have reflexology points for healing. Who knew? So Tamara Blossom will be offering a talk about it. She'll have diagrams and show you what you can do to yourself or to your partner if you have a partner, and just explore healing in this unique way. And Anna Beaumont, a beautiful friend that I've known in Edmonton, Canada, and she's been a voice coach all her life, and she really has noticed the similarity, the connection between the vagina and the voice. And she's like top notch. She was touring with Supremes after they broke up. She was with Mary Wilson. She toured, so it gives you an idea of the caliber. But she just really believes, and that she feels that's her life purpose now, is to really emphasize and share with people the importance of looking at our sexuality and how it relates to everything, even our singing, and even our voice speaking. So that's Anna. That's on Saturday. And orgasmic birth with Morgane. She's going to talk about her own process and how she came to um, studying and educating now about orgasmic birth. Presence and pleasure. I've heard Cheryl speak. She's does a lot of pelvic. She does gosh, she does that for her work is pelvic strengthening. So she's going to be talking about presence and pleasure as a pelvic strengthening facilitator and certified. She's certified in that, and I'm the word's missing, but I trust you know what I mean. And then we have some musical breaks throughout. We've got different musicians. I'm honored. I'd love to play. There's some chants that I feel are super healing for me anyway. I hope they'll be healing for the people viewing, and just to really sit in the sound and see how you feel and see if it touches you in a way that opens your heart and opens your mind to shifting, and so you can be a part of shifting the paradigm, the sexuality paradigm. And then we've got, oh, you know what Sonia was saying earlier, or Lisa, is that, we don't talk about our period, menstruation. It's like, ooh, secret, don't mention. And so there's a speaker, Corinne's going to be talking about, she calls it sacred blood and menstrual wellness. Let's shift that paradigm. It's all related. And Will Blunderfield, oh, he's amazing. He was just recorded something with Biff Naked. If you're in Canada and Vancouver, that's a big name, but I don't know. I think she's kind of known, but he's a great singer, and he's also happens to be a spokesperson for what are called butt plugs. Now, usually that's typically, I believe, in the gay world. However, he's saying, this is super healing for all men, for prostate issues, or just for fun and pleasure. So he'll be talking, and end the evening with my dear friend Rob Inglis, meditator for 45 years, I believe. So he's gonna take us deep and just in a peaceful place for the end of Saturday. And shall I continue on with Sunday? What do you think, April? Shall I keep going?
Well, no, I think people can probably head on over to the website to get more in depth. You're doing a great job with that. But I also, they can take a look at the schedule there. There's so many great things, like you said. But, one of the things that I am thinking is, who else this festival can reach. And I'm thinking about like maybe couples whose sex life has completely withered away, or thinking about men and women who feel like they have completely lost their sexual essence. I can only imagine that the people who, like Sonia B, when she was an attendee, this is naturally going to draw the people that are very comfortable with their sexuality, who have maybe already have been exploring different topics like this, and people who are just naturally drawn to it are going to show up and they'll going to get something from it. But I'm also thinking about the people that we wouldn't typically think to market to, or to say like, hey, how are you doing with your sexuality with your partner? How has your marriage been? How has your sexuality with yourself have been? I'm just thinking about some of my clients that have come to me, both men and women, and many, well, gosh, I haven't been in a relationship for years, and I haven't been intimate with anyone, and I haven't even been intimate with myself. So I think, for those who are listening and watching and listening to some of the podcast episodes, and, are you somebody that should really attend this festival? I think if those issues are going on in your life, this would probably be a great festival that would help to jumpstart your sexual energy. I'm sure that it can create very new conversations with your partner. Like you said, with that reflexology class, that sounds like so much fun, and a tool that you can learn to massage your partner and to ignite and to be intimate with your partner in a totally different way. I mean, I think out of one of the things that I've learned with all the people that I've talked to who are presenting, this so much isn't about sex. It's more about your relationship with yourself and healing yourself.
That's it. It's ultimately, and I still wanted the word sexuality in it because it's been so, let's not, and so I believe the way we talk about it introduces a new communication standard. So that was why, we could call it, body embodiment festival. However, I felt it so important to really address sexuality, especially in the, Me Too movement and the Harvey Weinstein era.
Yeah, and I'd like to pull Lisa and Sonia back in too, just to brainstorm a little bit. But who else do you think could benefit from this festival? Just thinking about, the clients that you've worked with. I'm mentioning maybe some heterosexual couples that have not been intimate in their marriage because, say, they went and had a couple of kids and their focus has just been on their children and not on each other, or even on themselves. But can you guys think of anyone else that maybe wouldn't really consider attending this festival, but you're like, no, I think this is the type of person that needs to come? Sonia, how about you?
I would really love to see more youth come out to a festival
Yeah.
like this. I kind of feel like I was lucky that I was so young and, carefree in my college days to go out and, explore some of this stuff. Well, it was kind of more by accident, really, but I ended up being introduced to it at a fairly young age, and it really shaped my connection with my body and my sensuality, and eventually has led down the path of me finding my life's purpose and wanting to contribute and help other people to have a better experience with their body and their sensuality. So I would love to see youth, come out and explore some of the topics and issues that are being discussed at the festival. As I was mentioning earlier, the universe has brought some clients, some younger men who have kind of been at odds with their own sexuality and their connection with their own body. A lot of misconceptions with, how they've been introduced to that. So I'd love to see young men specifically come out and check out the festival for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one of the presenters I had a chance to speak to, who is a man, Ian Faulkner, and he said, this topic of men talking about their own sexual health and wellness is so taboo for men. So he's a
Yeah.
real big advocate about men's sexual health and giving the men an outlet to be able to talk about this. Awesome. Lisa, how about you? Who do you think this
Yeah,
festival is for?
I
Yeah.
think youth as well. When I thought about myself as a teenager, with that, when you're reaching puberty, it's so awkward and there's not enough information out there. So just bringing that age range, but yeah, women my age as well. I feel like there's a lot of um, undersatisfied ladies, that are single. I think there's been this sort of awakening of the feminine strength, and they're sort of, there's a hunger of like, okay, how do I want to get satisfied, I want bigger orgasms, but they don't have the tools or the knowledge of like how to self pleasure. So I think the more, lots of like undersatisfied women too. I would love to just call up all my girlfriends, like instead of going, having some margaritas, like come and like, let's just like watch this festival together and take ownership of our divine temples and learn tools of how to self pleasure, and then, not be sort of like critical of the opposite sex not stepping up, kind of thing. Like if we take ownership and responsibility, then the opposite sex as well. I think too, a lot of men in the the 40s, after the wife and kids, and now the relationship is sort of like settled into a friendly companion kind of groove, like yeah, expose everybody to it. I think we're all hungry for this, more organic, natural embodiment. Yeah, everyone.
Yeah. Excellent. Well,
I
thank
would
you
love to
guys.
add,
And yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Wendy.
sorry, is first festival, received an email. A woman from Syria said, "I'm so glad you have this festival. I'm scared to go. However, I really want to go. I'm going to go. She said, I'm here as a rainbow refugee. She said, I'm lesbian. There's no way I could be who I am in my country. And so she's delighted to come to this festival. So there's a whole other, like immigrants, newly divorced, people who don't even, oh my goodness, I've never even thought of this for years. Or I guarantee you, you will have aha moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I already have had aha moments just sitting and talking and not even seeing these presentations, but just all the beauty of the information that your presenters have brought over to our podcast has really been a gift. So I know that our podcast listeners will be attending. They just eat up everything that we bring to them. So I'm really excited to be able to see them attending as well. And I'm going to challenge people. So, I'm able to see that people are popping in and watching this and tuning in. And I would really like to challenge anyone that actually watches this, because there will be a replay of this live. I dare you to share it on your Facebook page. Just even having to share Sacred Sexual Music Festival. Like, what is this? I think people are afraid to even post it. So I'm going to challenge anyone, even if you're not attending, one thing that you can do to help us spread the word and to get the word, sex out there and let people see about this beautiful festival that's happening. Why don't you just either share the website on your Facebook feed, sacredsexualmusicfestival.com, or you can actually share this live video. So there is just so much great stuff that's happening. Again, the festival is going on April 16th, 17th, and 18th. Tickets are for sale now. If you purchase them now before the 16th, there is a bit of a discount, and then the ticket price goes up on April 16th. So you can get your tickets by going to sacredsexualmusicfestival.com. We have them for sale there on Eventbrite. And Wendy, there's also one other site where people can purchase tickets. I forget that new ticket sale venue that you saw. Can you mention that link?
Allevents.in, but I just lead them to the main website.
Okay, great. All right. Well, Lisa and Sonia, thank you so much for joining us for this Facebook Live. We have another one scheduled next Friday. We will be bringing on a couple of other presenters, and we'll be going a little more in depth with their presentations. And it's just a way for us to be able to let the world know that this festival is happening. So I hope you will all join us April 16th, 17th, 18th. If you are at home and you're still quarantining, why not hop on, be entertained for 3 days, and be prepared to feel more connected with yourself and in your own sexual power and in your own spirituality. So I thank everyone for tuning in, and we will see everyone on April 16th. Get ready to party at the festival. All right. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.